What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today has already been a very interesting day. During the actual trading day, it was showing a lot of good strength because of some tentative rumors and things like that I'll share with you. But after hours, this is what has really kind of blown up a lot of things. So I'm going to go over all of that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So when it comes down to what happened after hours, it kind of started off very optimistic. So you see a very big spike up. It hit $8.16 as a high because this news did come out about the PIF tentatively buying or at least increasing their position by 1.8 billion through new capital, so meaning dilution. But unfortunately, this was prior to the 8K that was submitted. So all investors knew was that the PIF was going to be increasing their position. So that's caused a little bit more of a tentative spike. And then people realized the gravity of everything, no pun intended about gravity. But as you can see, then it just started to go back down because this news did kind of come to realization that it was going to be 3 billion in total. And of the 3 billion, the PIF was going to be increasing their position by 1.8. But still, when it comes down to it, it's just plain and simple dilution, which of course isn't always necessarily what investors want to hear. But I think in Lucid's case, as I've been saying, this was a little bit earlier than I would have assumed. I was always saying that it was going to be occurring in Q3, so happening in Q2 is a little bit more premature. But then again, here we are. So like I said, there was a couple of pieces of news that did come out, one of which was early this morning, and it wasn't necessarily anything crazy. It's just them switching accounting firms, so nothing really important in that regard. So, and then obviously after hours was this document right here about the dilution. But still, this does fall under the recent and amended S3, on which the original S3 was that 8 billion. So kind of still within line of that. So in my opinion, I do feel that this is fairly good. Lucid is making the right steps, especially on a quarter by quarter basis. Of course, the 2023 targets are by no means where anyone wants them to be, but they are slowly moving in the right direction. So you just really have to watch the upcoming couple earnings just to see as far as if they're still showing that same level of improvement, because you never want companies to just continuously dilute and it really go nowhere. It just be stagnant. So you want to see some improvement. So that's something just to keep in mind. I'll give you guys a quick overview, for instance, of what shorts did during the trading day today. So short score is 93, utilization is at 100%. And as you can see today, shorts did return 1.86 million shares. And right now, 23.13% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 149.14 million shares overall being shorted. So pretty significant if you ask me. Cost to borrow is at 20.27%. And just to put that in perspective, currently there's 1.16 billion dollars worth of shorts out there, so pretty significant. But again, the fact that the PIF increasing their position goes to show its commitment. The fact that they, no matter what, even if Lucid's not going up as much as a lot of people would like, they do have Big Brother behind them, always going to support them. So in reality, I think that's a pretty good thing. And outside of that though, like I've mentioned, there was a lot of good momentum that was being had during the trading day. And that was largely because of this one tweet right here. And it kind of just says made in Saudi, 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀there was even more so an article as well written about it. I don't know too much context about why this is very important. And this article just says that it kind of leads to a lot more speculation, but maybe I am missing something. So let me know you guys' thoughts on this and why this is a big deal in reality. But outside of that though, I'll give you guys a good overview of some good data points. So as far as big money getting in, definitely they turned on the buy switch. So 1.86 million, 2.2, 4.21, majority of this is all buys as well. And you can tell that based on the bid and the ask and obviously the selling price. So of course, that's a pretty good sign. I don't know if maybe a lot of this was just about the whole PIF potentially buying and maybe people found out about this news prior to the 3 billion. I'm not necessarily sure, but this definitely is abnormal based on what is typical for Lucid. And then when it comes down to during the trading day for options activity, there was $420,000 in call premiums. So good old Elon brought in the 420 when it comes down to that. But there was $898,000 in put premiums. So clearly based on this, a lot of people were anticipating that it was going to go down. I don't know, maybe if that was once again linked to that news, who knows? But clearly a little bit more of an additional breakdown. This is all the strike prices, all the expiry dates. Based on this, over the next couple of weeks, it is looking like, or at least it was looking like, it was getting to around the $8 range. But when it comes down to options activity, whether it be this or even just the intraday chart, this is just merely a sentiment, because someone buying or selling calls or whatever it is does not necessarily move the stock price by any means. If you're one of those retail investors that likes to follow what big money is doing, based on this, like I mentioned, they definitely were very much buying, especially if you do, for instance, look at what shorts did. They returned a pretty good amount as well. And when it comes to, for instance, looking at the fib levels, so right now with it being at 721 after hours, because it going down because of the dilution and so forth, it is currently between this S1 and the pivot. But no matter what, that's kind of where it was in general. So not really much has changed in that regard. And because of the pullback, it actually might be fairly good. And what I mean by that is looking at stochastic, it is currently at 70. So a little bit more of a bearish sentiment that is starting to form today. But because of obviously the dilution, it causing the stock to go down, is kind of resetting stochastic a little bit. So because right now it is a little bit more overbought. So technically one positive way to think of this dilution is that it's kind of resetting the technical. So again, that might be a positive sign. Looking at momentum, it shows number of retail investors were getting out today. So generally speaking, I do feel that the 3 billion is a little bit excessive, and keep in mind that whole 8 billion initial offering, I think it got reduced down to 7 and change or whatever it was. But that definitely is supposed to last them for the next 3 years, and that came out in August of 2022, if I remember correctly. But keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys do your own due diligence. But no matter what, when it comes down to the S3, though, they need to kind of stretch it out. Don't use so much of it, because by them using this 3, that's leaving only 4 for the next year and a half or whatever it might be. So they definitely do need to slow down their pace on dilution and hopefully focus a little bit more on cutting down on expenses. But the fact is that no matter what, it is very, very optimistic to see that the PIF is and did increase their position by 1.8 billion. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.